As we age, our bodies undergo deep changes that directly affect how we store energy, burn calories, and respond to environmental stimuli. After the age of 60, the basal metabolic rate, the number of calories burned at rest to maintain vital functions, tends to decrease significantly. This happens because muscle mass, which is metabolically active, is gradually replaced by fat in a silent process called sarcopenia. Since muscle burns more energy than fat, losing it means the body now requires fewer calories per day. If the person continues eating as before, even without overeating, the excess is stored as fat. This metabolic slowdown is natural, but can be intensified by a sedentary lifestyle, poor protein intake, and low hydration, all common among seniors. Another key factor is insulin resistance, which increases with age. This means the body has more difficulty using blood sugar as energy, leading to fat accumulation, especially in the abdominal region. Moreover, hormones that regulate hunger and satiety, like leptin, ghrelin, and insulin, change with age, making it harder to control eating habits. Aging also comes with lower levels of testosterone and estrogen, which affect fat distribution, muscle tone, and even the willingness to exercise. The body begins operating in a more conservative mode, prioritizing survival and conserving energy, even if that means gaining weight. Beyond biological factors, behavioral changes also play a role. Many people drastically reduce physical activity after retirement. They leave the house less, sit more, and often experience loneliness, anxiety, or depression, all of which contribute to emotional eating. Food becomes a form of coping, a substitute for routine or an unconscious response to physical pain or emotional emptiness. These invisible emotional and social elements act as major obstacles to weight loss and are often ignored, even by healthcare professionals. Elderly bodies also react differently to diets and workouts. Highly restrictive diets can cause muscle loss and dangerous nutritional deficiencies, compromising the immune system, bone health, and even brain function. Intense workouts without supervision can lead to joint injuries, especially in aging bodies. So losing weight after 60 requires strategy, patience, and personalization. It's not just about cutting calories and hitting the treadmill. It's about understanding how the body has changed, what it now needs, and how to meet those needs gently and sustainably. Recent studies published in journals like the Journal of Gerontology and Nutrition Reviews confirm that successful weight loss plans for seniors combine balanced nutrition, gradual physical activity, and professional guidance. In other words, it's not about losing weight fast, it's about losing weight smartly, respecting your body's timing, and preserving strength, vitality, and independence for years to come. Losing weight after 60 is possible, but it starts with knowledge and respect for the body's own rhythm. When it comes to weight loss in old age, one of the first questions that must be asked is the goal just to lose pounds or to gain quality of life? This distinction is essential because, unlike in youth, where the focus is often on body appearance and muscle definition, weight loss after 60 must be aligned with function, autonomy, and disease prevention. Many seniors feel pressured by unattainable beauty standards or memories of their younger bodies, leading them to chase quick-fix solutions, extreme diets, or pills that promise instant results. But these approaches are not only ineffective, they can also be dangerous, leading to accelerated muscle loss, hormonal imbalance, and even malnutrition, which is already common among older adults. To lose weight functionally means prioritizing fat loss while preserving muscle mass, energy, balance, and metabolic stability. This requires a shift in focus from the number on the scale to what truly matters: body composition, inflammation markers, insulin sensitivity, balance, and overall strength. A senior may weigh the same for years and still be transforming internally by replacing fat with muscle, improving circulation, reducing joint pain, and increasing daily mobility. This type of weight loss is not only safer, it's transformative. It improves aging, mood, brain function, and independence, and that makes all the difference. Scientific research supports this functional approach. A study by the University of Navarra showed that elderly individuals who combined strength training, moderate caloric reduction, and physical therapy lost more fat and improved their mobility far more than those who followed traditional low-calorie diets alone. Functional weight loss improves not only body composition, but also sleep, memory, concentration, and emotional health, thanks to better hormone regulation and reduced systemic inflammation. In practical terms, embracing functional weight loss means letting go of the obsession with thinness and adopting a new definition of health, one based on strength, autonomy, and the ability to enjoy life. It's not about shrinking the body, but about empowering it. And that empowerment begins when we stop trying to go back in time and start building a better future with the body we have today. For years, it was believed that human metabolism slows drastically with age. This idea spread as a universal truth, causing many older adults to accept weight gain as inevitable. However, recent research is rewriting that belief. Studies published in Science in 2021, based on data from over 6,000 individuals of different ages, revealed that metabolism remains relatively stable between the ages of 20 and 60, as long as the body stays active and maintains adequate muscle mass. The significant drop in daily energy expenditure typically begins only after age 60, and even then, it's not as dramatic as once thought. What truly drives the sensation of a slowed metabolism is often the reduction in physical activity and the silent loss of muscle mass, which starts as early as age 40 and accelerates thereafter. This muscle loss, known as a sarcopenia, directly impacts metabolism. Every kilogram of muscle burns calories even at rest. As that muscle is replaced by fat, the body burns fewer calories daily. As a result, even if the person eats the same amount as before, they begin gaining weight slowly, without understanding why. And because metabolism is governed by a complex network of hormones, like insulin, cortisol, leptin, and ghrelin, any imbalance in this system can stall weight loss even when eating less. The so-called slow metabolism in old age is not simply due to age itself, but to how the body has been treated over the years. Inactivity, poor sleep, chronic stress, and low protein intake silently sabotage the body's ability to burn fat efficiently. The good news is that metabolism can be reactivated at any age, including after 60, especially by building muscle mass, staying hydrated, and maintaining hormonal balance. Resistance training, even with light weights, is considered the gold standard for boosting metabolism in seniors. It not only increases resting energy expenditure, but also reduces inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, and strengthens bones. Nutrition also plays a critical role. A diet rich in lean proteins, healthy fats, and low glycemic carbs supports thermogenesis and satiety, helping control appetite and boosting metabolism naturally. Sleep is another key factor. When older adults don't sleep well, the body goes into energy-saving mode. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, rises, while leptin, the satiety hormone, decreases. This creates the perfect environment for overeating, even with lower calorie intake. Poor sleep also affects thyroid function and cell renewal, both crucial for a healthy metabolism. In short, a slow metabolism is not a life sentence. It's dynamic and responds to proper stimuli. With consistent changes in routine, the aging body can recover its natural ability to burn fat, produce energy, and sustain health. In old age, the bathroom scale can be a misleading tool. It only shows total weight and says nothing about what's actually being lost, fat or muscle. For seniors, this distinction is critical. Losing weight at the expense of muscle mass can lead to serious and even irreversible consequences. Muscle mass is not just about aesthetics, it's a vital organ. It contributes to body balance, protects the bones, regulates metabolism, stores essential amino acids, and even supports immune function. When an older adult loses muscle, they not only reduce their strength, but also compromise mobility, increase fall risk, accelerate organ aging, and weaken their recovery from illness. That's why any weight loss plan after 60 must prioritize one thing above all: fat loss with muscle preservation. Sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass with aging, begins quietly around age 40 and intensifies in the decades that follow. By 60, it may already be advanced in many individuals, even in those who appear overweight. This creates a condition known as sarcopenic obesity, where the body is covered in fat but internally weakened by muscle loss. This combination increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, reduced independence, and even premature death. The challenge, therefore, is not merely to lose weight, but to rebuild the body by replacing fat with functional muscle tissue. Scientific evidence confirms that two strategies are essential for preserving and recovering muscle mass after 60. High-quality protein intake and resistance training. Proteins are the raw materials of muscle. Studies show that older adults need more protein per kilogram of body weight than younger people because muscle synthesis becomes less efficient with age. Foods like eggs, fish, lean meats, legumes, and natural yogurt are key, and for some, supplements like whey protein can help. But eating protein isn't enough. The muscles must also be used regularly to remain active. That's why strength training, adapted to older adults, is not only safe but incredibly effective, even for those with osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, or mobility limitations. Maintaining muscle mass also helps prevent other complications. Muscle is a metabolic organ. It releases anti-inflammatory substances and regulates insulin sensitivity. This means strong muscles help control blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and even mood. Muscle protects against frailty, a clinical condition marked by weakness, slow gait, unintentional weight loss, and exhaustion. Frail individuals are at much higher risk of hospitalization, complications, and death. Simply put, every kilogram of muscle preserved in old age is a gain in life quality and independence. And more, muscle mass directly affects basal metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns at rest. This turns muscle into a natural metabolic accelerator. So weight loss strategies based only on cutting calories without physical training are counterproductive. Older adults might lose weight, but also lose their functional reserves, making them more vulnerable to illness and dependence. If the goal is to lose weight after 60 while maintaining strength and autonomy, muscle preservation must be non-negotiable. It's not about becoming a bodybuilder. It's about building a body that resists aging, carries its own groceries, gets up from chairs without help, climbs stairs with energy, and supports a dignified, independent life. Muscle is the invisible foundation of healthy aging, and it must be protected at all costs. In popular belief, weight loss diets are still associated with extreme restrictions, obsessive calorie counting, and sacrifices at the table. But when it comes to losing weight after 60, that logic is not only ineffective, it can be dangerous. At this stage of life, the body demands a much more strategic, gentle, and nutrient-dense approach, one that respects its metabolic limitations, accumulated deficiencies, and natural fragilities. The goal of dieting after 60 shouldn't be simply to lose weight, but to maintain functional autonomy, preserve lean mass, and support brain, bone, and immune health. Restrictive diets that work for younger adults can lead to muscle loss, anemia, immune suppression, and cognitive decline in older individuals. In this context, the goal is not fast weight loss, it's to build a body that ages with resilience. The first scientific guideline for effective dieting in seniors is caloric adjustment based on the new energy needs of the body. While energy expenditure decreases with age, nutritional demands increase. This calls for meals rich in essential nutrients, but low in empty calories. That's where longevity superfoods come in. Dark leafy greens, legumes, olive oil, oily fish, berries, eggs, and whole grains. These foods provide antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that help regulate inflammation, improve gut health, and protect the brain. In other words, the key is nutritional quality, not calorie quantity. Recent studies, like those published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, show that moderate caloric reduction, around 300 to 500 kilocalorie day, helps reduce body fat without compromising muscle, especially when combined with high-quality protein and resistance training. It's recommended that older adults consume 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, spread throughout the day. Eggs, chicken, yogurt, tofu, and fish are excellent sources. For those with poor appetite or chewing difficulties, whey protein can help maintain proper intake. Another important point is meal frequency and regularity. While trendy diets often encourage skipping meals or fasting, the older body performs better with structured, balanced meals that stabilize blood sugar and prevent energy crashes. Small meals, including snacks with fruit, nuts, or boiled eggs, help maintain satiety and avoid emotional overeating. A fiber-rich diet with oats, chia, psyllium, and raw vegetables keeps the digestive system active and reduces inflammation. Of course, hydration is essential for fiber to work properly. Crucially, the best diet for seniors is one that avoids extremes and promotes adaptation instead of restriction. Cutting sugar, processed foods, fried items, and excessive salt is necessary, but these must be replaced with flavorful, enjoyable alternatives. A banana with cinnamon, an oat pancake, or a homemade vegetable soup can satisfy while nourishing. Food should remain a source of pleasure and social connection, not punishment. Diets that ignore emotional attachment to food tend to fail, no matter how technically perfect they are. Finally, real weight loss in old age is gradual, cumulative, and sustainable. It's not about shrinking the body quickly, but training it to function better, metabolically, cognitively, emotionally. Functional nutrition reduces systemic inflammation, boosts mood, improves sleep, and enhances vitality. When tailored to the aging body, food becomes medicine and diet becomes liberation, not sacrifice. With the growing popularity of trendy diets, many seniors wonder whether they can or should try methods like intermittent fasting, low-carb, ketogenic, DASH, or Mediterranean diets. The question is not only whether these strategies work for weight loss, but on whether they are safe, sustainable, and adaptable to a body over 60 years old. Metabolism, hormones, digestion, and bone structure change significantly with age. Strategies that work for younger bodies may pose serious risks in older ones, from electrolyte imbalance to severe nutritional deficiencies. The key is understanding which approaches offer real metabolic benefits, without compromising muscle, mood, vitality, or immunity. Let's start with intermittent fasting, perhaps the most talked about diet in recent years. Research suggests that, when well supervised, it may improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and promote fat loss. However, for seniors, fasting must be applied with great caution. The risk of hypoglycemia, muscle loss, and inadequate protein intake is significantly higher. Skipping meals can further reduce essential nutrient intake in a body already struggling with absorption. Prolonged fasting can also disrupt hormonal balance, increase dizziness or confusion, and negatively affect seniors on medications for blood pressure, diabetes, or thyroid issues. That's why doctors recommend only short windows, like 12 hours, and only under medical guidance. This low-carb diet, which drastically reduces carbohydrate intake while increasing protein and healthy fats, shows promising results for older adults, particularly those with insulin resistance or abdominal fat. However, extreme carb restriction first can be harmful. Cutting out fruits, whole grains, and vegetables may cause deficiencies in B vitamins, fiber, and potassium, all vital for heart and brain health. A safer variation is moderate low-carb, where only high glycemic foods like sugar, white flour, and soft drinks are removed, but natural fiber-rich carbs are preserved. This version helps promote fat loss without harming nutrition. The Mediterranean diet is widely regarded as the most appropriate and sustainable option for people over 60. It focuses on fresh vegetables, olive oil, legumes, whole grains, nuts, oily fish, and moderate amounts of wine. It improves cardiovascular health, brain function, and longevity. It's more than a diet. It's a lifestyle of flavor, balance, and community. Studies confirm that it helps reduce visceral fat, stabilizes blood sugar, and improves cognitive function. It also supports functional weight loss, gradual fat reduction, while preserving muscle and energy. The DASH diet, created to combat high blood pressure, is also suitable for seniors. It emphasizes fruits, vegetables, low-fat dairy, and whole grains while reducing sodium. While it's not a weight loss diet by design, many older adults naturally lose weight on it due to better nutrient density and reduced water retention. It also protects against cardiovascular and kidney complications, making it a good foundation for many. As for the ketogenic diet, with its extremely high fat and ultra-low carb intake, it's not recommended for seniors in most cases. While it may show cognitive benefits in certain early Alzheimer's cases, it poses risks such as dehydration, nutrient imbalances, severe constipation, and muscle wasting. It should only be considered in highly specific clinical contexts with constant supervision. In summary, the best diet after 60 is one that nourishes the body, protects the mind, and fits real life. The goal is not to follow trends, but to adopt a path of health, balance, and sustainability. The ideal diet does not punish. It supports, rebuilds, and gives pleasure. And that at any age is the most powerful path to true and lasting weight loss. When the goal is to lose weight healthily after 60, food selection must go far beyond counting calories or shrinking portions. Rather than focusing on what should be removed from the plate, it is essential to prioritize what must be present daily to maintain muscle, burn fat, support immunity, and fuel brain function. Aging brings many nutritional challenges: decreased appetite, reduced nutrient absorption, and increased nutritional needs, especially for muscle and cognitive preservation. That's why a successful weight loss plan for seniors must be built on 5 essential nutrients, thus not just calorie reduction. Below are the 7 that cannot be missing, along with the best natural sources. First and foremost is high-quality protein, directly responsible for maintaining muscle mass. As previously discussed, preserving muscle is vital when losing weight after 60. This is only possible through consistent intake of complete proteins, meaning those that contain all essential amino acids. Eggs, fish, chicken, lean beef, milk, and plain yogurt are ideal sources. Vegetarians can rely on combinations like beans and rice, tofu, tempeh, and isolated plant-based proteins. Research suggests older adults should consume around 1.2 to 1. 5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, ideally spread across meals. Next is vitamin D, essential for bone health, muscle function, and metabolic regulation. Vitamin D deficiency is linked to abdominal fat, sarcopenia, and loss of physical strength in seniors. Since the skin becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D from sunlight with age, dietary sources like eggs, liver, salmon, and sardines become crucial. Even then, supplementation is often needed, but always under medical supervision. Magnesium is another key nutrient. It supports over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including blood sugar regulation, mood balance, muscle relaxation, and sleep quality, all vital for weight control. Magnesium deficiency is common in older adults and can lead to fatigue, cramps, constipation, and increased oxidative stress. Natural sources include avocado, banana, pumpkin seeds, spinach, pure cocoa, Brazil nuts, and oats. Then comes omega-3 fatty acids, an anti-inflammatory fat that regulates metabolism, supports heart health, and helps preserve cognitive function. It also modulates hormones like leptin and insulin, both involved in appetite and fat storage. Rich natural sources include cold water fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, as well as chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts. Fifth on the list is vitamin B12, essential for red blood cell formation, neurotransmitter production, and energy. Its deficiency is common after 60, especially in those taking antacids, metformin, or those with chronic gastritis. Low B12 can cause fatigue, mental confusion, irritability, and even hair loss. Its primary sources are red meat, liver, milk, eggs, and fish. Vegans and vegetarians must supplement. Calcium, and is the 6th must-have nutrient, especially for postmenopausal women at high risk of osteoporosis. But calcium isn't just for bones. It's also involved in muscle contraction, weight control, and hormone balance. Sources include kale, broccoli, tofu, canned sardines with bones, and dairy products. For best absorption, calcium needs vitamin D and should be balanced with low caffeine and salt intake. Finally, fiber, crucial for appetite control, gut health, cholesterol management, and stable blood sugar. A healthy gut absorbs nutrients more efficiently, reduces inflammation, and produces neurotransmitters like serotonin, which regulate mood and satiety. Fiber-rich foods include oats, psyllium, chia, and flax seeds, whole fruits, raw vegetables, and dark leafy greens. Ideal daily intake for seniors is 25 to 30 grams, accompanied by ample water. In summary, a senior weight loss diet shouldn't revolve around what to cut. It should center on what to include, to support metabolism, protect organs, preserve strength, and promote vitality. When built on these 7 nutritional pillars, weight loss after 60 becomes not a sacrifice, but a natural outcome of healing the body from the inside out. After the age of 60, many older adults feel frustrated by the difficulty of losing weight, even with a good diet and regular activity. That's because at this stage of life, the body begins to behave differently, often resisting fat loss due to unnatural hormonal changes that affect metabolism, appetite, energy use, and fat storage. Understanding these hormonal processes is crucial for unlocking sustainable weight loss in old age. Instead of blaming a lack of willpower, we need to recognize that biology plays a central role, and that there are ways to gently and naturally restore hormonal balance. One of the main factors is the decline in sex hormones, estrogen in women and testosterone in men. After menopause and andropause, these hormones decrease significantly, leading to increased abdominal fat, loss of lean mass, and lower metabolic rate. Estrogen, for example, regulates fat distribution in women. When it drops, fat tends to accumulate in the abdomen rather than in the hips or thighs. In men, low testosterone contributes to muscle loss and increased fat mass, especially in the belly. This redistribution of fat is not merely aesthetic. It is associated with higher cardiovascular and metabolic risks. Another key player is insulin, the hormone responsible for transporting glucose into cells. Over time, many older adults develop insulin resistance, meaning their cells no longer respond efficiently to insulin. This results in higher blood sugar levels, increased hunger, and easier fat accumulation, especially visceral fat around the organs. Insulin resistance is directly linked to low muscle mass, chronic inflammation, stress, and poor sleep, all common in older adults. The good news is that resistance training, fiber-rich diets, quality sleep, and stress reduction can reverse this condition and restore insulin sensitivity. Cortisol, the stress hormone, also deserves attention. Chronic emotional stress, common in aging due to losses, loneliness, or illness, leads to elevated cortisol levels. Cortisol stimulates fat storage, particularly in the abdomen, and can disrupt sleep, increase anxiety, and reduce serotonin. High cortisol also interferes with thyroid function, another crucial component. The thyroid regulates basal metabolism, and if it slows down, fat burning becomes harder, even with a balanced diet. Many seniors suffer from undiagnosed hypothyroidism, with symptoms like fatigue, cold sensitivity, constipation, and weight gain. Leptin and ghrelin, known as the cut-in hunger hormones, also become dysregulated. Leptin signals satiety to the brain, while ghrelin stimulates hunger. With age, leptin sensitivity declines, and ghrelin production can increase, leading to more hunger and less satisfaction after meals. Poor sleep and excessive consumption of processed foods aggravate this imbalance. Fortunately, protein-rich meals, restful sleep, regular exercise, and avoidance of ultra-processed foods help regulate these hormones again. Rather than resorting to hormone medications prematurely, most of these imbalances can be rebalanced naturally. Prioritizing good sleep, daily movement, sunlight exposure, and a colorful diet with anti-inflammatory foods can work wonders. Cruciferous vegetables, omega-3s, berries, fermented foods, magnesium, and zinc all support hormonal health. In some cases, medical assessment may recommend mild hormonal therapy, but never without supervision. To lose weight after 60, one must stop blaming laziness and start understanding the body's deeper language. Behind the difficulty in burning fat is not a lack of effort, but often a silent endocrine orchestra that has lost its rhythm. The mission, then, is not to punish the body, but to tune it, patiently, consistently, and compassionately. And when the body is in harmony, weight loss becomes a consequence, not a struggle. After 60, losing weight becomes a delicate balancing act. How to reduce body fat without sacrificing muscle, strength, or mobility? This is not a secondary concern. It is the core challenge of aging with health. Studies show that after 50, we lose about 1% of our muscle mass per year, even without weight loss. When you add calorie restriction or poor eating habits, this loss can double or triple, and that's dangerous. Losing muscle at this age increases the risk of falls, fractures, hospitalizations, and even early death. Therefore, any weight loss plan for seniors must be designed not to shrink the body, but to rebuild it. Muscle is not just a structure, it's a living organ, responsible for burning fat, stabilizing blood sugar, supporting posture, protecting joints, and producing anti-inflammatory molecules. It is also essential for hormone regulation and immune system integrity. That's why preserving muscle mass is a top priority when losing weight after 60. To achieve this, you need more than just exercise. You need a synergy between strength training, adequate protein, deep sleep, and low inflammation. Strength training, especially with resistance, is the most effective tool for this goal. It stimulates protein synthesis, increases testosterone and growth hormone, and prevents age-related sarcopenia. Exercises like squats, light deadlifts, push-ups against the wall, or elastic band rows are perfect for beginners. Even short sessions 3 times a week are enough to prevent muscle loss during a weight loss plan. This training must always be adjusted to the person's level, with gradual progress and attention to posture and joint safety. Protein intake is the second pillar. Older adults need more protein per kilogram than younger adults to maintain muscle. The ideal is to consume protein every 4 to 6 hours, especially in the first meal of the day and after training. Proteins should be varied: eggs, fish, beans, tofu, yogurt, and chicken. The goal is not just grams, but also biological quality, and the combination with physical activity to stimulate absorption and use. Sleep is another factor. Deep and restorative sleep is when the body repairs tissues and produces anabolic hormones. Poor sleep blocks fat burning and promotes catabolism, that is, muscle breakdown. Seniors with insomnia or fragmented sleep lose more muscle and gain more belly fat, even with a good diet. That's why sleep hygiene must be part of the weight loss strategy, with relaxation rituals, light dinners, and screen-free time before bed. Controlling inflammation is also essential. Chronic low-grade inflammation, common in aging, accelerates muscle loss and favors fat accumulation. Omega-3s, turmeric, berries, green tea, fermented foods, and magnesium help combat this inflammation naturally. Avoiding sugar, fried foods, alcohol, and ultra-processed products is equally important. Ultimately, true weight loss after 60 means losing fat and gaining function. The goal is not a smaller body, but a stronger, more agile and energized one. A body that supports independence, prevents disease, and maintains dignity. Losing weight by damaging muscle is like cutting the roots of a tree to make it look smaller. It may seem like success, but it's actually weakening the foundation. The real victory is balance, and that only comes with awareness, strategy, and respect for the body's rhythm. Many older adults ask a common question: is it possible to lose weight without exercising after 60? The answer is yes, but with limitations. While weight loss is possible through a proper diet alone, it often leads to a dangerous trade-off: loss of muscle mass, reduced bone density, slower metabolism, and decreased mobility. In other words, the number on the scale may go down, but the quality of life may go down with it. That's why a movement must be seen not as a punishment, but as medicine, a daily dose of vitality, strength, independence, and mental clarity. Aging is naturally accompanied by metabolic decline. After 60, the body burns fewer calories at rest, partly due to decreased muscle mass and hormonal shifts. This makes the metabolism more fragile and reactive. Remaining sedentary accelerates this process, leading to increased fat gain, insulin resistance, joint stiffness, and loss of cardiorespiratory capacity. The less we move, the faster we age, not just externally, but at the cellular level. That's why even light, consistent movement can prevent functional decline and improve weight loss results. You don't need to go to the gym or lift heavy weights. For older adults, effective movement is the kind that's sustainable, enjoyable, and adapted to their reality. Walking for 20 minutes a day, climbing stairs, gardening, dancing, stretching, or doing balance and breathing exercises, all of these stimulate metabolism, improve insulin sensitivity, protect joints, and elevate mood. The goal is not to become an athlete. It's to keep moving so that the body doesn't shut down. Scientific studies show that active seniors lose more belly fat and maintain more muscle than sedentary ones, even when consuming the same number of calories. Movement also improves sleep, regulates appetite hormones, and reduces emotional eating. In other words, Exercise doesn't just burn calories, it realigns the entire system so that the body burns fat more efficiently and feels better. Another essential benefit is the impact on brain health. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, stimulates the release of neurotrophic factors, and protects against cognitive decline. Older adults who move regularly have lower rates of depression, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Even 10 minutes a day of outdoor walking, deep breathing, or light dancing can elevate dopamine, serotonin, and endorphin levels, hormones of pleasure and balance. Ultimately, the real question isn't whether you can lose weight without exercising, but whether it's worth it. Weight loss through restriction alone is often fragile, short-lived, and costly to health. Sustainable weight loss after 60 happens when the body is treated with movement, nutrition, rest, and love, not just deprivation. In the end, the goal is not just to weigh less, but to live more. Weight loss after 60 is not just a biological challenge, it's also deeply psychological. At this stage of life, the relationship with food, body image, and health is marked by decades of experiences, traumas, cultural beliefs, and emotional associations. Many older adults carry unconscious emotional patterns that directly influence their appetite, their perception of their own body, and their motivation to care for themselves. That's why any sustainable weight loss process in this phase must address not only the physical dimension, but also the emotional and psychological. Aging often brings identity crises, retirement, the loss of social roles, widowhood, empty nest, and physical decline can trigger a feeling of loss of purpose. And when the sense of identity is shaken, eating becomes one of the few accessible sources of immediate comfort. This emotional eating is not always conscious. Many people eat out of boredom, sadness, anxiety, or to fill a symbolic void without realizing it. That's why weight loss after 60 must also be an act of emotional reconstruction, where food is no longer used to anesthetize pain, but to nourish the life that still pulses. Another psychological factor is body image and memory. Many older adults carry a distorted view of their body, influenced by comparisons with their younger self or by comments received throughout life. Shame, self-criticism, and disconnection from the body create a vicious cycle. The more you hate what you see, the less you care for it. On the other hand, compassion, self-respect, and reconnection can awaken a new motivation, not to fit a beauty standard, but to regain functionality, pleasure, and dignity. There's also a generational aspect. Many people over 60 were raised with food used as reward, punishment, or proof of love. Cleaning the plate, eating fast, associating sweets with affection, these are patterns rooted in childhood. Breaking them is not easy, but it's possible. Bringing awareness to the act of eating, respecting fullness, slowing down, savoring, and asking oneself, what am I truly needing right now, are therapeutic tools that transform the experience of nourishment. Additionally, mental health directly affects appetite and metabolism. Depression, common in older adults, can lead to apathy, binge eating, or loss of appetite. Anxiety also alters eating patterns, increases cortisol, and encourages weight gain. That's why a psychological support, group therapy, faith, meaningful friendships, and purpose play such an essential role in long-term success. Ultimately, losing weight after 60 is not about fighting against the body, but about reconciling with it. It's a return to care, to listening, to forgiveness. It's understanding that the body is not an enemy to be corrected, but an ally asking for renewal. When weight loss comes from this place of emotional maturity and self-love, it becomes more than a result. It becomes a rebirth. One of the most overlooked barriers to weight loss after 60 is medication-induced weight gain. Many older adults, even those following a healthy diet and exercising, are unknowingly taking medications that alter their metabolism, increase appetite, promote fluid retention, or disrupt fat regulation mechanisms. This phenomenon is called pharmacological weight gain, and it is more common than we think. Understanding which medications may be contributing to weight gain is essential to create a more honest and realistic weight loss plan. Among the most associated drug classes with weight gain are antidepressants, corticosteroids, antipsychotics, insulin, beta blockers, and some antidiabetics. Some of these drugs act on the central nervous system and increase appetite. Others alter glucose metabolism or interfere with thyroid function. Corticosteroids, for example, promote fluid retention and fat accumulation in the abdominal region. Certain antidepressants, especially those that act on serotonin and histamine, can slow down metabolism and increase cravings for sweets and carbohydrates. Another common case is sleep medications, which can reduce energy during the day and lead to sedentary behavior. Some antihypertensives can cause fatigue and slow down circulation, reducing spontaneous movement. Even certain gastric protectors, when used chronically, can affect nutrient absorption and influence hormonal regulation of appetite and satiety. In older adults who often take multiple medications at the same time, these effects can accumulate, creating a hidden obstacle to weight control. That's why it's crucial to have an open and informed conversation with your doctor or pharmacist. Never stop taking medication on your own, but ask, is there an alternative with fewer metabolic effects? Or, could this drug be contributing to my weight gain? In many cases, dosage adjustments or changing the drug too can minimize the impact. In other cases, simply being aware of the effect allows you to adapt your routine with more precision and compassion. In addition, nutrition can help mitigate drug side effects. For example, those taking corticosteroids benefit from an anti-inflammatory and low-sodium diet. People on antidepressants may respond well to omega-3s, protein at breakfast, and reduced sugar. Those taking antihypertensives can benefit from increased potassium intake and physical activity. The idea is not to cancel the medication's effect, but to help the body process it better, reducing unwanted weight gain. Ultimately, the scale is not always a reflection of your efforts. Sometimes it reflects an internal struggle caused by a cocktail of medications that make it difficult to lose fat. Recognizing this and seeking professional guidance is not weakness, but wisdom. After 60, self-care includes asking good questions, listening to your body, and advocating for your own well-being. With the right support, even the side effects of treatment can become manageable obstacles on the path to health. Losing weight in old age is not just a physical challenge, it is, above all, a mental one. The body may respond slowly, but the mind carries decades of emotional patterns, ingrained beliefs, cultural eating habits, and reward mechanisms built over a lifetime. Eating is not just about nourishment, it is celebration, comfort, and belonging. For many seniors, food represents memory, affection, and even a replacement for loneliness. That's why, even with the right diet and well-guided exercise, weight loss only happens sustainably when the mind joins the process, relearning how to relate to food in a more conscious, compassionate, and functional way. And that is the essence of the so-called skinny mind, a set of internal attitudes that support weight loss even in the face of the challenges of aging. In practice, this means abandoning the mental patterns that associate food with guilt, punishment, or loss of control. For decades, many older adults were taught to clean the plate, to not waste food, to eat so as not to be a burden, or to enjoy it because tomorrow is uncertain. These phrases become automatic consumption triggers, even when there is no real hunger. The skinny mind breaks this cycle, teaching the elderly to recognize hunger and fullness cues, identify emotional eating patterns, and develop strategies of self-respect at the table. This does not require superhuman willpower, but rather mindfulness, understanding what is behind the urge to eat, and responding differently, with kindness and clarity. Another key element is realizing that eating well doesn't mean eating less, nor living in eternal restriction. In old age, the pleasure of eating must be preserved but redefined. This involves learning to savor more slowly, making conscious choices at the supermarket, cooking with intention, and turning meals into a ritual of self-care, not an automatic task or emotional escape. Mindful eating techniques, such as practicing presence at meals, have shown excellent results in seniors. They reduce binge episodes, improve appetite control, and increase self-esteem. The skinny mind does not eliminate pleasure, it reinvents it. It's also essential to fight the silent enemy of dietary change, isolation. Many elderly individuals live alone or in environments where eating has become a lonely, monotonous act. This encourages the consumption of ultra-processed foods, frozen meals, or overeating as a way to fill emotional voids, creating support networks, joining nutrition groups, Cooking with grandchildren, participating in community gardens or senior cooking projects can completely transform the relationship with food. Eating becomes social, meaningful, and joyful again, and this changes the brain, metabolism, and eating behavior. The skinny mind is also resilient. It knows there will be setbacks, tough days, and emotional relapses. But instead of sinking into guilt, it embraces, resets, and moves forward. This is especially important in old age, where events like grief, illness, or loss of independence can trigger discouragement and loss of control. The secret is not to never fail. It's to not give up on yourself after the failure. With psychological support, self-compassion, and emotional resilience strategies, the elderly can develop a much more balanced relationship with their body, food, and personal history. In short, losing weight after 60 goes far beyond the menu. It is a journey of reconciliation with your own body, your food biography, and the emotions that once taught you to eat impulsively, out of need or automatically. The skinny mind is not a diet project. It's a life project. And when it awakens, weight loss is no longer a battle. It becomes a natural, light, silent reflection of someone who finally understood that health is not punishment. It is freedom. After 60, the challenge of losing weight is more complex than simply burning calories. One of the main risks in this process is losing not just fat, but also muscle mass and bone density, which are essential for maintaining autonomy, balance, and longevity. This is why the priority should not be losing weight at any cost, but losing fat while preserving or even gaining lean mass. And in this strategy, protein becomes the most powerful ally, not only as a nutrient but as a protector of vitality. Aging naturally leads to sarcopenia, which is the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength. This process begins around age 40 and accelerates significantly after 60, especially in sedentary individuals or those with inadequate diets. The result is a weaker, more fragile, slower body with reduced metabolism and increased risk of falls and fractures. That's why diets that are too restrictive or unbalanced can be dangerous in old age. They cause rapid weight loss, but at the expense of muscle, not just fat. And a body without muscle is a body that ages faster. To prevent this, it is crucial to increase protein intake in meals. While a young person may need 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, an older adult often needs 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram, depending on activity level, health, and goals. This means prioritizing sources like eggs, fish, chicken, beans, lentils, tofu, lean red meats, and even protein supplements when recommended by a professional. Protein helps preserve muscle, provides satiety, reduces appetite for ultra-processed foods, and assists in glucose and fat regulation. It's not just about how much protein, but also when and how it's consumed. Many older adults eat almost all their protein at dinner, leaving breakfast and lunch unbalanced. However, distributing protein throughout the day ensures better absorption and helps prevent muscle loss. For example, a protein-rich breakfast, like eggs with oats, a balanced lunch, like chicken with legumes and vegetables, and a lighter but protein-containing dinner, like soup with lentils or a piece of fish. Consistency is key, even if the amounts are small. Alongside protein, resistance training is the most effective strategy for preserving and building muscle after 60. Even basic exercises with elastic bands, water bottles, or body weight are enough to stimulate muscle fibers and increase bone strength. Combined with proper nutrition, this creates a virtuous cycle. The more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism works, and the easier it becomes to lose fat without harming the body. Finally, it's worth noting that bone mass also depends on protein and strength exercises, along with adequate calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. Many seniors who experience weight loss without guidance end up developing osteopenia or osteoporosis. That's why a complete weight loss plan in old age is not just about aesthetics or numbers, but about structure, strength, and future. To lose weight after 60 is to rebuild your body wisely, with enough protein to support not just life, but a life that moves with strength, safety, and freedom. Losing weight after 60 doesn't start with a radical diet or exhausting exercise. It starts with a change in rhythm, awareness, and attitude. The body of someone over 60 needs gradual, kind, and intelligent adaptation, not punishment. That's why the first 7 days are not about fast weight loss, but about building a new inner and outer environment that prepares the body and mind for long-term transformation. Here's a science-based and senior-friendly 7-day plan to begin this process safely and effectively. Day 1. Reset the pantry, not the body. The first step is to look at your food environment. Eliminate ultra-processed foods, excess sugar, and industrial snacks from the pantry and fridge. Replace them with fruits, vegetables, beans, whole grains, eggs, olive oil, and real food. Prepare the kitchen as if preparing the body with space, clarity, and purpose. Day 2. Hydration and movement. Increase your water intake, at least 6 to 8 glasses a day unless otherwise advised, and go for a 20-minute walk, even indoors or on a patio. The goal is not performance, but creating a daily movement ritual. Stretch your arms, legs, and back. Movement awakens the metabolism and calms the mind. Day 3. Breakfast with protein. Start the day with eggs, yogurt, oats, or beans. The goal is to reduce cravings throughout the day, stabilize glucose, and improve satiety. Avoid sugary breads and cookies in the morning. From day 3, you are already training your metabolism. Day 4. Eat with presence. For at least one meal, turn off the TV, sit down calmly, and chew slowly. Observe textures, flavors, and signals of fullness. Emotional eating decreases when eating becomes a conscious ritual. Day 5. 10-minute strength. Do simple resistance exercises, sitting and standing from a chair, wall push-ups, or light weightlifting, even with water bottles. These exercises stimulate muscle and protect bones. Day 6. Night without screens. Avoid cell phones, TV, or tablets for at least 30 minutes before bed. Read, breathe deeply, or listen to soft music. Sleep is a vital part of weight regulation and cellular recovery. Losing weight begins at night. Day 7. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Reflect on the week. What changed in your eating, body, and mood? Don't judge slip-ups. Honor every small choice made with awareness. Weight loss after 60 is a path of consistency, not urgency. This plan is not a miracle, but it is a beginning, and the beginning in old age has extraordinary value. It marks the moment when the person stops believing they are too old to change and starts honoring the life they still have to live. In these 7 days, more than a few grams may be lost. A shell of discouragement is broken, and a new energy awakens. And once the engine starts, the body and soul go together, lighter, freer, and stronger than before.